Hey, this is Elan. Very welcome back to the Holistic Health Podcast. Today I'm joined again by Finn. And for today's podcast, we're just going to go, I suppose, on more of a personal journey and have a chat about just different things that have been going on in our personal lives. As the last few podcasts we've done have been, they've been fun for sure, but they've been a little bit more on the serious side. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to having a chat about stuff like that. So, Finn, how's your day been so far?
Yeah, it's been good, man. It's been good. It's yeah, looking forward to this one. It's always nice, kind of yeah, just going a bit soft, a bit lighter with the conversations as well. Because yeah, last couple of episodes, like there's some big topics we explored. So yeah, it's gonna be good to share a little bit more about ourselves and yeah, let's
Yeah.
go.
No, definitely, yeah. Um, I think it's so funny. A lot of people they call me Coach Elan, like my first name being Coach. I'm a normal person as well. So there's a lot more to me than just the work that I do or the ads that I put up or whatever. I think that's the probably one of the issues with social media nowadays. A lot of people try to come across as like super serious and like by the book and whatever, but everyone has that like more personal, softer side to them as well. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, I suppose I wanted to start off with something a little bit different, do some quick fire questions. So do you want to go first or will I go first? Do you want to ask me or
Um. Yeah, I'll ask you first if you want.
okay, cool. So we have a list of 15 questions here, so you can ask me the first whatever, six or seven.
Yeah. Cool. First one. If you could have a superpower, what would it be and why?
Um, I think it would probably be to be able to fly because since I was young, I always loved like watching Batman, Superman. So yeah, inspired by that for sure. And
Yeah.
probably no reason other than it'd be pretty cool just to be wake up in the morning and be like, yeah, I'm gonna go France today. I'm gonna go to the beach in south of Spain or that'd be pretty
Yeah.
not have to rely on Aer Lingus and then have your
Yeah, awesome. What was the most embarrassing thing that's ever happened to you?
oh my God. I think I didn't put much thought into this, but the first thing that came into my head was I think when I was 4 or 5 in school, there was there's like metal grates on the ground. Uh,
Yeah.
it was slippy, and I think I was playing with people. I don't know, we are playing like Duck Duck Goose or something, whatever you play when you're 4 or 5, and I like slipped on that, and then yeah, I whacked my head off the ground. So I have a nice like Harry Potter scar here. So it's kind of like I always find it embarrassing when you're like around people and then you slip or you fall or it's like, oh, that wasn't supposed to happen.
Yeah, definitely. Next one is if you could have dinner with any three people, dead or alive, who would it be?
Oh my God. Uh, three people that come to mind. I suppose it'd have to be someone from history. Like, oh my God, who could it be? Yeah, someone I'd say like Alexander the Great or like Seneca or Marcus Aurelius, someone like that. So I'd say someone like that, deep from history, and then I'd say maybe like an astronaut someone like Buzz Aldrin or Ed, I can't remember his second name. So an astronaut, someone from history, like a stoic, and then probably like a really successful athlete like Mike Tyson.
Yeah,
Yeah, those three.
nice.
Nick Clegg.
Good variety. I like it. Awesome. What is your biggest pet peeve?
I actually, when I got these questions earlier off ChatGPT, I was thinking the first thing that came to my mind is like anytime I go into a car park or I'm like driving along the street, if I'm about to park and someone's like at an angle or they're like instead of being in the car parking space, they're like over the line or they're like they've just like straddled the line completely, like
Oh man, don't
always
start.
pisses me off.
Parking over here is ridiculous. Like the car parking spaces are made way too small for the cars over here.
Yeah, it's like because I literally only got my full driving license in April, so I've been or in May, so I've been driving since then. And but yeah, it's something that's always like really pissed me off. I'll literally like stop in the car park in Tesco. I'm like, why? Why did you have to do that?
I love it. Last one we'll go with is what's the funniest thing you've ever seen?
Oh, it'd have to be something like when I was younger, I watched Monty Python's Life of Brian. I think I watched that for the first time when I was like 11 or 12. And have you ever seen that?
I think it's been years ago since I've seen it.
It's really old,
I love them. I used to, yeah, they're so good.
yeah, it's from like, well, it's not that old, but I think it was made in like maybe the end of the 70s or something like that. But yeah, that's probably anytime I'm talking to my mom, there's always references of that come up. And, we always have a good laugh. So
Yeah,
I'd probably say it's that one, yeah. Um,
awesome.
all right, so I'll ask you a few. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I was gonna say skip that question because like I don't have a karaoke song because no one wants to hear me sing.
If you could travel anywhere in the world right now, where would you go?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one. But like I'd have to say it would be back over to Australia to see your mates.
Very
Yeah.
nice. What's your favorite guilty pleasure?
Favorite guilty pleasure is probably on like a Friday or Saturday night when I get everyone to bed and just put a good movie on and pour myself a bowl of cornflakes and just chill out for an hour or two watching a good movie. Like normally go for like an action or adventure or something like that.
Nice. I thought you were going to say a bowl of wine. I was like, that'd be too much.
It used to be with a glass or two of wine, but yeah, I haven't drank in 8 months now, so it's been yeah. I was traded that off for a bowl of cornflakes every now and again.
Unreal. What's the strangest thing you've ever eaten?
Oh, strangest thing I've ever eaten. It probably would have been over in Thailand when we were like in out of Bangkok or somewhere. Like I'm sure there's some stuff I don't even know what it was that are eating. Like what all it's like to try the local cuisine. So yeah, I wouldn't even like to think what some of it has been, but I know there were some very interesting dishes that were served up over there.
Hmm. And last one, what's your biggest fear?
Uh the first thing that popped in my head was like I've got such an irrational fear about getting a body part stuck somewhere. Like it's really weird. Like I think I might have got my head stuck in like the banister rails or something like that when I was a kid. But like I've got like literally there's been so many times where like my hand like you get your hand stuck somewhere and like I get like this massive panic and I was like I'm gonna be stuck here for the rest of my life. Yeah, I don't know. Something definitely happened in my childhood that I can't remember, but like that's a big fear. Like if I feel like I'm getting stuck somewhere.
Oh my God, it's so random as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah, like it happened literally the panic that comes on and on because that first thing is like I'm gonna be stuck here forever.
Yeah, I've like anytime I'm closing a door or I'm closing a boot, I'm always like, okay, hands clear. Or even if I'm by myself, I'm thinking of it because when I was younger, I got my um it wasn't anybody's fault, but I left my finger like hovering around the edge of the boot, and the boot was a metal
Oh,
boot, and it was literally just like the top part of my finger. I still have
yeah.
it. It was just like, I might have lost a nail or was super bruised. And then
Yeah.
another time, just because I didn't learn my lesson well enough the first time, another time, I don't know, a year or two later, somehow I got the tip of my finger again caught in the edge of a wooden door, like when it was being closed.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No,
Since I was
no,
like,
no, no.
uh,
That just
uh,
that feeling is horrible.
yeah, but like everything is still there, thankfully. But the memory has stuck with me. So now I'm just like ultra cautious around doors and boots and stuff like that. It's like so easy happen. But yeah, I think the fears are like always an interesting one. Like I've always since I was younger, I had a fear of heights. I always hated being dirty as well, which is really weird. Maybe I had like OCD since I was younger. And then spiders. Those were like
Yeah.
the three main ones. And then thankfully since then, my fear of spiders has pretty much gone because I kind of force myself to like let a spider crawl up in my hand and it doesn't even feel like anything. So
Yeah.
it's more so the sight of it. It looks bad,
Mm.
but when it's on your hand, unless it's like I wouldn't let huntsman spider or something from Australia come near me. Like,
The hunt, like the literally, the, I'll never forget. Like our very first night in Australia, like we just spent like about 5 weeks traveling around Thailand, and like we got to Australia over in Sydney, and again, like when you go over to Australia, like there's like so many spiders and snakes and stuff like that that can just kill you. So you don't have a clue what they are. You just know there's spiders over here that you want to stay away from. And we were staying in a friend's house in Sydney and absolutely shattered after getting there. And like we just went in after staying up and having some dinner and like having some chats, we went to bed to like just to try to get a bit of sleep. And what, as soon as we walked into the room, just putting our stuff down, and there was this spider up in the corner of the room, and like it was the biggest spider I've ever seen in fucking life. I was like, the two of us just bricked herself. It was, yeah, and we were like, what on God's earth was that? And like the other guys came in and goes like, oh, that's just a huntsman, don't worry about it. And we were like, what? I was like, I don't care. It's like I've never seen a spider that big in my life. And it's like there's no hope in hell I'm falling asleep in this room until like we get that spider out. But it dropped down and like we searched the whole room, but it managed to get away from us. But well, yeah, it was a hairy, not a nice introduction to
yeah.
Aussie spiders.
I mean, I don't need many reasons, but that's probably going to be the one main reason why I never like move to Australia or go there for any extended period because like I've got over the fear of daddy long legs and stuff like that. But if anyone's ever seen a huntsman before, I haven't seen it in person, but like you
They're
said,
huge.
I've seen videos of people and they're like lying in bed and they just pan the camera around and all you see is these two eyes, the reflection from the light you have on the camera. And the thing is literally it looks like about 2 foot wide or
Yeah,
I don't even know how big, but like way bigger than
yeah.
it should be.
But like even like that with snakes and stuff like that as well. Like there's it's funny even still now. Like we've been away from Australia for a full year, and like still now, it's like if I'm walking through the forest or like stuff like that, or walking in long grass, like or if I see the kids running off through long grass, I get this initial fright. It was like be like careful of the snakes, or if you're walking through the forest and you're stepping over a log, like I always still look down, just kind of it's just so ingrained in us to kind of watch your footing and stuff. Yeah,
Yeah.
such an interesting one.
Yeah. I've been focusing more on like traveling around Europe because I was thinking like, okay, if I want to go to the US, the flights are going to be minimum 1,500 if I want to go with Alicia or wants to go to anywhere in Asia, same thing. And then I was like, I could literally go to Europe and, get a flight, whatever, to Spain or to Italy, and it's going to be, 3 to 500, especially if you book it far enough in advance. So I'm trying to like tick off as many countries from Europe as possible and got
Yeah,
like I think 16, 17 currently.
impressive.
And then I still have a good few places to go to. I've only been to France for like 8 hours because I went there on a day trip. And there's a load of other places that I'd like to go to before I kind of go a bit further afield. But yeah, it's so nice to have the opportunity to travel, especially after COVID. Like that was just
Yeah.
awful.
Like, and it's so funny. Like, the whole opposite. Like, there's been very few places in Europe where I've been. Like, it's like the first time I was ever on the plane was when I was like 19.
Really?
And like the first flight was to go to America. Like, I'll never forget it. And I was going to spend a summer over in California. And like, I'd done 2 summers back to back in California with the J1 visa. And like, that was just it for me. And then, like, went to like the UK a few times, went to a couple of places in Europe, not many, and then like as soon as I was graduating, I was like, I'm going to Australia, and then I met Shona, and that put a stall on things for about a year or so. So we'd done a couple of European trips, but then as soon as she was ready to go to Australia, like we went over there.
That's mad. What was the like going on a plane for the first time? Were you like
Oh,
nervous?
like I loved that. I was just like,
Yeah,
get me out of here. Like always, like the joke always had was the furthest it was ever away from the mainland of Ireland was Achill Island.
it's pretty
Uh,
fun.
Yeah, but like so, yeah, like come, I yeah, when we went there, like I was just yeah stoked to get over there and explore it, and just absolutely loves America. And like, I think that's why like had a big attraction to Australia, like just that Californian beach lifestyle. I was just like, yeah, this is what it's about.
Yeah, that's unreal. Yeah, I'd love to go to the US at some point as well, but I'd like for it to be a long trip. Like if I was in
Mm,
New York City, I'd like to also go around like New York State as well. Or if I was going to the West Coast, yeah, like I'd like to be able to, maybe see some San Diego or, go up Uh,
Oh yeah, like it's we done like the two summers that we were there, like we saw like spent the first year was in lived in LA, the second year we lived between San Diego and LA. And then like both times like we went to like down to Mexico to Tijuana a good few times. Went up to like Vegas, Yosemite, just San Fran, hit all of them up there, like Lake Tahoe and stuff like that. It was epic.
yeah, that's unreal. And no like border issues going into Mexico and then trying to come back up.
At whenever we were going that stage, it was in because it was such a big J1 hotspot with it. Every Wednesday night was a Irish night in Mexico in Tijuana, so it was like literally like all of the drunkards would come down to the border, get the train down to the border from San Diego because like it's literally like about 20-minute train journey down, and like you'd go across the border with your passport, and then the taxis would take you to this one specific nightclub that like I never forget it. The first time going over the border, it was just mayhem, like cars going everywhere. Like there's just it was the first time going into like that sort of environment where like it is like literally there's like no rules of the road, there's no anything, it's just mayhem. And
Yeah.
like we got in these taxis, and then the taxi like was like zooming in and out of everywhere. We thought we were gonna die. And then we rocked up outside this big nightclub, and like Ireland's Calling was blaring out of the nightclub. And like there was a pickup truck
God,
with like about six Mexican police sitting on the back of the pickup truck with guns, just sitting there with their guns. Just like they were the security for the Irish night in this nightclub. Like it was such a surreal experience. It was an interesting one.
that's crazy. Oh, that's yeah, it's just like something from a movie or something, like especially in Mexico. Obviously not every area, but like they have a huge, huge issues with cartels and everything there and the police force, like semi-corrupt also and so but yeah, that sounds like good fun for sure.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, I went to Greece last year. That was kind of like a big trip for me. Uh I'd put up like one or two posts about it like afterwards, but I went well, because I wanted to go on holidays as well, but my I'd met my biological father once before in Crete back in like 2001, and it always been kind of nagging me for many, many years. I knew that I needed to go and see him again. So I ended up doing quite a big trip to Athens and Crete last October. So that was good, but it was like emotionally, I was definitely I felt like quite overloaded,
I can
It was like
imagine.
I met my half sister Nefali for the first time when we went to Athens, but she speaks perfect English, like five languages. So it was great meeting up with her and then seeing her for a few days. Then we got to the boat from Athens over to Crete, and then in the at like 6:30 in the morning, met my dad for the second time ever. Met my other half sister Margarita for the first time. I met my dad's wife, obviously for the first time. And then later that day, I also met my granny, um, Stavrola, for the second time. So I'd met like four or
Oh,
five new family
that's
members in one
huge.
day. Yeah.
Like it's so big. Yeah.
I mean, it was great. Like we like got to their house, everyone was super friendly, had lots of nice food, like literally everything on the table, lots of Greek delicacies and stuff. And then sat down and it's literally like, okay, tell me what's been going on in your life? And I'm like, okay, well, like 20 something years to catch up on. So,
Yeah, far out.
but like by 5 p.m. I was just like, oh, I need to head back to the apartment. I need to just let my brain kind of relax and have a few mojitos and stuff just to kind of get over.
Yeah. Yeah, I can imagine that would have been such a big one. But yeah, so good. I'd say it was so good to have that experience and like to tick that off, and just like it's just that initial one would have been so big.
Yeah. No, I'm so happy that I did it as well because it's like um one of the other reasons why I wanted to do it is because I knew that if I didn't kind of build up the courage to go and do it, I knew at some point later in life I'd regret because like my granny, she's like 89. Um, so realistically, she doesn't have that many years left. And um I felt like as soon as I had met up with everyone, I felt like I could move forward as well. It's like I had that kind of like blockage in my
Hmm.
personal life. Everything else had been going fine, but there was always that thought in the back of my mind. It's like, okay, like it's been another year that I haven't, met up with my dad. And, that kind of I think catches up with you after a while. So yeah, it was good to do it though. And I mean, it's so beautiful over there as well. Like perfect weather, food's unreal. It's not, it's literally like 30-40% cheaper than Ireland as well. So,
Yeah.
only bad thing though I would say is like if you ever go to anywhere in Greece, they have this weird rule with the toilets that put any like you can't really put any paper down them at all because their sewage system is literally from like God knows
Yeah.
how, like at least 100 or 200 years old. They haven't upgraded it basically because
Yeah.
the Greek, economy has been down the toilet, no pun intended,
Yeah.
for a long time. So, but apart from that, it's all good. You can just go in a bush instead somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
Would you ever consider moving over somewhere like that for a while? Like I know you did that a couple of years ago where like you lived the kind of bit more nomadic and stuff like that, but would you ever consider moving again over to Europe somewhere for a while?
um, I would, but only if I was with Alicia, because the big issue before was, I mean, it was great going to Barcelona for 3 months and going to Sicily for a couple of months, but the big thing that nobody really tells you is if you're traveling by yourself, it actually gets extremely lonely, and
Yeah.
it's the only time I'd actually meet people is like I was training some Muay Thai, so I'd go to some classes like once or twice per week, and that would be the only time that I'd actually interact with some people. Uh,
Hmm.
Obviously, there was anyone who I was working with at the time in terms of clients and stuff, that was great. But outside of that, it's like it's not all sunshine and
There's a lot of empty space in between
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
The empty space is like the worst part, like from 7 to 11, in the evening.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, well, I've already done my training for the day. I've already been to a class. I've already done work. Like what do I keep myself busy with, for those hours? So,
Hmm.
but like, there's a lot of positives for sure, but there is that side of it that a lot of people don't tell you as well. So, but yeah, no, I would like to maybe move back to somewhere in Spain or somewhere in the future, but yeah, I'd like to do it with Alicia for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah. No, definitely.
Yeah. But yeah, like I think traveling is so important as well. Like everyone says it like, oh, do it when you're younger and stuff. And it's like it's been something that I know I'll never regret. Any places I've been to, it's like I'd never regret spending that 1 or 2 thousand euro on whatever trip to go
Yeah.
somewhere. So worth it. So um where would you say is your favorite place you've ever been?
Um, I think there's a few different for a few different reasons, to be honest. Like to be honest, like it's one of the big ones is like we were away in Australia for 12 years and it's for myself and for us, like it's been really nice coming back to Ireland to be able to connect back with the land. Like, and that was one of the big reasons we wanted to come back, obviously for family and stuff like that as well. But when we were away, we really figured out who we were. And as part of that was really connecting with our Celtic heritage and stuff. So that was like one of their big intentions was coming back and like really connecting and immersing herself in that side of Ireland, which has been really nourishing. And like I think that's one of the things that we've been enjoying so much over the last year is going to all of these different places around Ireland where like we might have been previously, but we never actually took it in. Like it's like going to the likes of like the Hill of Ishnock, going to the likes of like different stone circles, like Newgrange, like Crew, all of them different places, the Hill of Tara and stuff. Like we'd been to a lot of them before, even the Giant's Causeway, all of that stuff. We had seen some of them before, but being able to look at them in a different set of eyes and being able to experience them through more of that like cultural heritage and stuff like that. Like there's just that more importance for it. Like I think that's been like really, really rewarding and nice for us. And to be able to see the kids and help them kind of create them memories and stuff like that has been huge because a big part of us over there, like we're mad into like Irish myths and legends. So like we're always been like reading and learning about like Fionn McCool and Cuchulainn and all of that sort of stuff. And being able to actually bring the kids to the different sites that they've been reading about for years and see their excitement and stuff like that has been really cool. So I think that's been one of the biggest things around travel has been really fun to have that experience with for kids. And
Yeah.
then I think aside from that, from like a more of a selfish side of perspective with it is like being over to Bali a number of times when we lived in WA. And like there's like I done two different solo trips to Bali for two different retreats, and like I think just having that time and space on my own was so nourishing, and being able to do stuff over there on my own was super nourishing. As well, like and like anyone who is a parent and stuff like that, being able to like have a bit of time away to yourself when you're in the throes of parenthood, like it's really cool. And Bali's such a beautiful place to be able to do that. Like it was over for like a week long men's retreat that I was co-facilitating that, like in the North Island of Bali, and then the second year was over for like a movement workshop, where it's like with these amazing like movers from all over the world, and just being in that like environment for a week like was really cool. So like that was a really cool experience.
Nice. Yeah, I've actually been to Loch Crew once because that's about 45 minutes drive from where we live. And then the Hill of Ishnock as well. I'm from Mullingar, so it's literally only like 10 or 15 minutes drive. But I actually went there for the first time for my Irish is so bad. But it was like for I think Baltona Festival.
Yeah, yeah,
August?
yeah,
I don't even know that's correct.
yeah.
Yeah.
Bealtaine was back in May, and then it's Luna's a festival now.
Yeah. So I did one of those anyway.
Yeah.
My Irish is so bad. I literally like barely
Same,
scraped the
same.
C. Yeah, an ordinary level as well in my leaving cert, so I can never remember them. But yeah, Hill of Ishnook was really nice. And did you do the guided tour as well, or just like a walk around it?
We just done the walk around Eastnock. Oh no, the Hill of Eastnock we done actually the guided tour, and then like it was amazing. And then like we went back for the Bealtaine Fire Festival as well. So like we managed to get tickets for that, and like that was just incredible. Like seeing hundreds of people like gathered up in the hill, and just seeing them lighting the fire at the top of the hill. It was just yeah, such a surreal experience.
Yeah, I seen some videos from it because Leisha, my girlfriend, was actually there that day. Uh,
Yeah,
Um, and she showed me some videos from there, and Mancon McGowan was there as
mm,
well.
yeah,
Uh, so
yeah,
yeah, it's really cool, like how much heritage there is, when you kind of like take a deeper dive into it. There's all these like cool places that you can go to, but you just kind of have to like, set aside that hour to drive there, or whatever it is in terms
yeah.
of distance.
And
Um,
that's it. Like this weekend, like on this Saturday coming, like we're heading to Awamaka for the Lunacy Festival for like the Return of the Wicker Man Festival. So it's like a big fire festival there. And like Awamaka is like for anyone that doesn't know about like the different stories, that's basically where the High King of Ulster used to live, where the Fianna, like that's where they used to reside up there, like, and it's just an Armagh, and like a lot of people know of like Cuchulainn, so like that's basically where Cuchulainn, he became Cuchulainn, like Satanta was like a little boy from Dundalk, and he walked from Dundalk to Armagh, and his uncle was the High King of Ulster at that time and took him into the Macra, so like that was the young warriors who were training to become the Fianna. And then that was where he like stepped into becoming like one of the best warriors of Ireland, and like stepped into Cuchulainn. So like, and that's literally like 15 minutes away from where I am here. Like, and it's always been there, but like we never knew it was there. Like even anytime we go there now, like if we tell our friends or family or anyone local here, that they're like, "What's that?" It's like no one knows it, no one's aware of what's right on our doorsteps.
yeah, I didn't know that. I know that story from when I was younger, but I didn't, kind of think of a place that you could go to, so that's a day trip I'd like to do at some point as well. I was actually wondering, are all of your kids named after some figure from mythology, from Irish mythology?
They're not all like it's not all Irish mythology. It's like well, Bonnie Boo is the Gaelic for beautiful star.
Oh, okay.
Bonnie just came in like we don't really know like that was just always a name that was there for us. Like if like with her first daughter was always going to be Bonnie, and then like the more we looked into like Bonnie Boo is her middle name, and like that's beautiful star in Gaelic, and then Bree Rua is whenever yeah she was always called Rua, like we didn't know if she was a boy or a girl, so like we always called her like instead of calling the baby it, we always felt that was weird calling us like
Yeah.
oh I don't know what it is, so we always nicknamed the baby something. So like Brie Rua was called Rua because like Shona's surname is Fox, which is Madra Rua.
Oh
So
yeah.
we just said it's like, oh, like let's call the baby Rua. And then whenever she was born, It was like Bree because Shona had a big connection and affinity to Bridget, goddess Bridget, and Bree is a derivative of that. Then Oak is Oak Leoch, which is Oak. We just knew he was like we knew that he was going to be a like he was the only one that we found out the sex of because whenever Shona was pregnant with him, Bonnie was at that age where she needs to know everything. So like in that answer asking questions, we knew it was like we need to find out what sex the baby is, so Bonnie knows that, or else we're never going to be able to like keep having that. So like so we knew that he was a boy. So whenever we found out he was a boy, like we just felt like this really grounded, rooted energy and like this like the oak tree. And Leoch is the Gaelic for warrior. And then he's Coo Tiernan, which is Coo is the hound with basically Coo Cullen.
Yeah.
And like that was just like, we didn't know if it was a boy or a girl. Um and then like we weren't sure. We had a few different names and nothing, we weren't really sure of it. But like the day we found out, I went for a walk through the forest and like when I was just kind of trying to commute that we were having another baby and moving back to Ireland, it was a lot to process. And like I just came back from our walk and I just said to Shona, I was like, would it be weird calling a child Coo? Because like Coo is literally hound. And she was like, that's really weird because that was the name that popped into my head as well. And we kind of forgot about that until he was born. And whenever he was born, we were just looking at him. I was like, who are you? And then it was just like, oh, geez, you're Coo. So yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it's so interesting hearing stories behind names because my name in Hebrew actually means oak tree as well.
Oh, really?
But my mom obviously doesn't speak Hebrew. She speaks English and barely anything else. Love you, mom. But yeah, like there was no like my mom named me after a swan, but swan in Irish is Allah. I think it's E-A-L-A. But she didn't really fully like that, so she just changed it to Elan. Like that's most of the story. So, but like when I started looking it up when I got a bit older, just out of curiosity, it's only really in Hebrew that it translates over, as something else and has I think one other meaning in some other, random language, but yeah, it's always like nice to have some type of meaning, behind the name for sure. So your son is legit oak tree, and I'm just like I'm between a swan and an oak tree, basically.
I love it.
Something I'd love to take a dive into is training side of things as well, because um, even a lot of people that we work with didn't realize, some of the ultra stuff that you've done before. Um, and a lot of people don't even really know what that much about ultra running or ultra marathons. So I think it'd be good to chat about that kind of stuff. Like so a marathon is 42 kilometers, and as far
Yeah.
as I'm aware, anything that's more than 42 is considered an ultra race, or an ultra run, whatever you want to call it. Um, and so you did what was it, 45K recently, or was it
Yeah, it
50?
was 45K. Like it was basically like a 6 hour race. And it was a 6 hour race doing a 5.5K loop and like you're like do as many laps as you can in the 5 hours. And like the way that one was set up, like you could either do a 12 hour version, a 6 hour version, or a 3 hour version. So like I chose to do the 6 hour version because I hadn't done anything like that in quite a while. Um and like I don't know, I think it's for myself, like I used to do a lot of like sprint triathlons like in Ireland and when I first went to Australia and like when I went to Australia I had just done my first half marathon and then like that first few months when we were in Australia we were in Sydney and I signed up for the Sydney half marathon, so I was the first like my first half marathon was like in I think it was like called the Leitrim Glens or something like that. It was back horse of Leitrim and it was this ridiculously hilly course and like there was about 80 people doing a 10K run, and I think there was maybe six of us doing like a half marathon. Like I didn't have a clue of any of this. I signed myself up to it, and so like I was thinking, it's like, oh yeah, I'll be like in the first event doing a half marathon. It's going to be a big stretch. It's going to be cool, and but like if I get it, if it's tough, like at least there'll be other people around me and stuff like to support me. And little did I know there was only about 10, 6 or 10 of us doing the half, and so I was literally running through the hills, the mountains of Leitrim on my own for about 2 hours. But that kind of like gave me the bug. of looking at a bit more endurance events and stuff. So then when we went to Australia, that's where I got into it a lot more. I am doing a lot more kind of sprint here, triathlons, and but like running was always my favorite. Like I'd done the Sydney half marathon and absolutely loved it, but hated the busyness of it. So like I like running for me is a very solo sport. Like it's where I go and just have my time. So getting into like something like the Sydney half marathon, be the same as Dublin marathons, all that sort of stuff. That just is my idea of hell. Just being surrounded by so many people, just going with that. So then whenever we went over to Perth, I would always just look for the smaller events to do. So I've done a good few half marathons and different kind of like 20, 25K trail runs and stuff. But like always kind of thought is like, I'm intrigued to do longer runs, but the thought of doing a marathon just bored the life out of me. But the thought of doing an ultra was something that really interested me for some reason. It doesn't make any sense logically when you think of the training side of things, but for me, it's like that's what my idea was, and that's I'm sticking with it. Um, so yeah, it was back in 2020 was when I done my first ultra. Like that's like we've talked about that before, but like the reason why I chose to do that was because whenever I became a father, that was whenever I kind of lost myself a lot within who I was, how I was showing up with trying to do the training that I was doing, as well as being a father and running my own business and being a good husband and all of that sort of stuff. Like it was a really challenging time for myself, and in the mix of that, I lost myself a lot. With who I was and what my identity was because I didn't realize that so much of that was attached to exercise and to doing things for myself and everything, whereas that's kind of flipped on its head becoming a parent. So as part of my own journey of kind of figuring out who I was, I've done a lot of deep dive work on myself, a lot of like mental and emotional stuff. Got a lot of support with all of that. And like so done about 2 years of like deep dive working on myself. And then when I kind of came out of that and was feeling a lot better in myself, I was like, right, and I've done a lot of that on the mental and emotional side and need to get back into the physical. So that's where I want to do something that's a physical challenge. So it was like, this is where I'm going to go for my ultra. So I signed up for a 12-hour ultra. And yeah, like done that one and like it was absolutely amazing. And like it was something that like I wanted to do more of, but just like again, as life is busy with little kids, as more kids come along and move house different times, like I always wanted to do more of them, but it just never was the right time. And then when we came back to Ireland last year, it was still like every few months I'd be like, oh, I just want to sign up for something. I need just so I want something that I can go for, but it was never the right time. So just last year, or just end of last year, or just so I was like, right, I'm fuck it. There's never going to be a right time. So instead of just always kind of pushing this off, I'm just going to sign up for something. I don't care what it is. So that's when I just went and looked to see what was happening over here in Ireland. I found one that was on, gave me enough time to train for it, and just yeah, paid for it then and there. So I had something locked in. I was like, this is what I'm doing, and I don't care what excuses pop up. I'm showing up. I'm doing it. So it was cool.
Yeah, it's unreal. And so funny as well that you went from doing 20, 25K trail runs just straight up to 87-kilometer ultra 12 hour. Like there's no like, okay, I'll do a marathon and then I'll go up a little bit more. Just I'll just go all in. Like
Like, and that was the beauty. Like, that's what I absolutely love. Like in my training runs, the furthest run I ever done in my training for it was 37 kilometers. And like on the day, literally, like I ran 50 kilometers more than I've ever ran in my life. And I'd done that. I chose to do that because I wanted a physical challenge because I'd done enough of the mental and emotional work. But like little did I realize is like that in itself was the biggest like mental and emotional breakthrough that I've fucking had. Like it was huge what I got from that event and what I got from that experience. And so many ways. And just again, it just shows like the potential that each of us hold is so infinite. It's our beliefs that are holding us back from actually reaching it. So it's like when we choose to put ourselves in the uncomfortable situations and just have that trust and faith in ourselves, like it's amazing what we can actually do.
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I love training because like when I first started going to the gym, I could literally not do one chin up or like one push up, just like riddled with injuries and pain and so many things. And like a few years ago, a goal I had set since like 2012 or 2013 was like I don't know where I'd read some stats online of like, okay, these are really good numbers to hit in terms of related to your body weight. And I really want to do like a half body weight chin up. So when I finally got that plus 45 kg, literally just for one rep, all the way down, all the way up, like full form, have a video. bulletproof. It's like
Tick the box.
pro- properly done, like not a half rep or anything like that. And I finally got there after literally like 7, 8 years of training consistently. Obviously not like perfect all the time, but like when I unlock that, I'm like, if I can do that, what else can I do? Or, there's it's such a good thing that transfers over, like the discipline that I got from going to the gym of just like showing up consistently 3 times every week and having a plan and following it. That's one of the main things that helped me get through, my degree and helped me, set up a business and everything else. It's just that baseline, structure of knowing that you can put your mind to something and you can do it. And then like that sets you up well for like so many other things.
Yeah.
But what you mentioned as well about, finding yourself as well, um, with the training, like that's a big reason why for me, that I want to train on a regular basis is because I know that my mental health and my mood are like down the drain if I'm not training
Oh,
regularly.
massive,
Like
massive.
if I don't train for a week, I'm more in if it exists on a spectrum, I'm more towards feeling miserable or depressed. And also my energy is lower and like, I'm just like shorter temper or lower mood or not as enthusiastic and all those negative things, like more shadow traits. Whereas if
Mm.
I train at least twice per week or 3 times or I do a jiu-jitsu session or something, like I'm so much more the better version of myself. So if I'm with my parents or my girlfriend or anything, like I'm actually in a good mood and enthusiastic. It's like other people want to be around me and not be like, why are you miserable today?
Yeah. It is like it's such a big thing, like, and it's like it's one of the things that like I feel like always having this conversation with our clients as well. It's like it's doing the simple things really well is what makes the biggest difference, rather than like there's no magic pill that you can do with it. And it's like when we say is like getting out for walks, doing a couple of strength training sessions a week, what is setting up perimeters for yourself by doing them things well and doing them consistent, hail, rain or shine. Like the difference that you get with that is massive, and the confidence that you get with that is massive. Because again, let's be honest, life is fucking tough. Pardon the French, but like life is challenging. There's always going to be stuff that's going to pop up. And if you stop doing the things that are good for you because these challenging moments pop up, and then it takes you a while to get back onto it, you're always going to be chasing your tail. Whereas if you can keep doing them things that keep you through them challenging times, you're going to be able to navigate them with so much more ease.
Yeah.
And the more we can start learning that, the more we can start actually integrating and bringing that into this is who I am. Is like I am Elan, and like and I eat well most of the time. Like I train X amount of times per week, no matter what happens. This is like this is you. This is your identity through hail, rain, or shine. And like
Yeah.
that's going to help you navigate the ups and downs so much better. Whereas if it's something's like soon as work gets busy or something happens, there's stress in your life, it's like, oh, like it just like stop exercising. And then like you stop exercising, and after a week or so, then like you start letting the food slip a little bit more, and then you go down this negative spiral with that, and takes you like a few weeks or a few months to kind of get back and trap and back on top again. And you're like, I'll put on a few extra pound, and I don't feel as good about myself and all of that sort of stuff. Like you just go around these vicious cycles over and over and over again. So it's looking at them things, whereas like these are the anchors that we can use to help us navigate the stressful times in life with a lot more ease.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, something I was thinking as well. Like, I always enjoy having something to work towards, like just being on the journey of working towards something, not necessarily actually achieving the goal. Because I had that so many times in the past. Like, when I was focusing more on lifting as heavy as possible, my goal was like, okay, I'll get to 140 kg squat. And then when I get there, I'll be happy. And then I'd get there and I'm like happy for a day. And I'm like, okay, what's next? And then I got up to like 180 for one. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm not happy again now. So there's an issue here.
Yeah.
And then that just completely changed my mindset to be like, okay, I'll just enjoy the journey. So
Mm.
something I've been focusing on the last few months, in February, I tested like how quickly can I do 100 push-ups? So 10 sets of 10. And it took me like 22 minutes and something. And then I tested it again like a few months ago. I was like 15:45. And then I retested it again there like a couple of weeks ago and it was 13:30. So I've like dropped 9 minutes off it so far. But I'm not like, feeling down after hitting the target, I'm like, okay, well, like let's see what I can do now next month and next month. And there's always like the next thing because
Yeah.
it's the journey that's been enjoyable, not like, hitting those kind of marks if that makes sense.
Yeah. And
Um,
again, like that, I can relate so much to that because, like, I know, like, after I'd done that, the 12-hour run through, when I ran 87 kilometers, I probably didn't run for about 4 months after that. And I was just like, what's the point in that? And then, like, when I started back running, it took a while to build that back up. But like, it's such a funny one. Whereas, like, I know with this time, like, it's like when it was what, about 3 weeks ago when I done the 45K run, like, and I've been running back since that. I've been like, I haven't missed a beat with my training and stuff like that since that, because it's just part of who I am now. It's not just like I'm not working towards a specific goal. I'm just like, I'm someone that trains every day because that's who I am and that's what I need for myself to look after myself. Like,
mm,
I'm coming up to, oh, what is it, done 13th of this month. So like next Tuesday is going to be 365 days of working out. And that was a decision that I made this time last year, because I knew this time last year I was like, we were like in the thick of an absolute mental time for us, because we had relocated our family of five back from Australia to live in Ireland. It was such a huge transition for us. And in the mix of that, then, like, Shona was pregnant. She was 3 months pregnant with her fourth kid. And there was just so much change within her life. It was a big emotional time for all of us, trying to figure out who we are in Ireland and integrate back to life in Ireland and try to set ourselves up here. And I know from myself, like, it's not my first rodeo with all of this sort of stuff. I know my default patterns are, whenever my family are suffering, I always make sure they're okay. I fall into that people pleaser and look after them and make sure everything's okay for them and put myself to the sideline, because I know I've got, like, this is my story, was always like, I've got enough within me to be able to look after everybody else. But then I would do that to a point and then eventually I'd burn out and crash, and then I'd have to pick myself back up and go again. Whereas, like, that story played out too many times for myself over the past. So that's where I was like, what do I need to do for myself to support myself as best as I can, so that I can then show up and be that rock for my family. So that was when I made a decision. I was like, I need to exercise every single day. Then, as well as that, like, it's doing like breath work, meditation, and journaling, and a few other things like that. Like, I need to be on my game with my self-care, so that I can be able to, like, hold my family through this massive year. And
yeah.
again, I was like, I didn't know how long. I wasn't going to say, I was like, I'm going to do this every day for a year. I'm going to do this every day for 3 months, whatever. I was like, I'm doing this every day because this is who I need to be. And like, it's just part of who I am now. And like, it's like, I don't know how long it'll keep going for. I don't know if it'll just be goes like, oh, hit the year. That's cool. Let's stop now and just go back to what it was. Like, I haven't really thought that far ahead. It's just the journey that I'm on now. But
Mhm.
again, it's like one of the things, this is what we can use these things for, is like, it's like, who do you want to be when you're moving through these things? Because that's going to allow it to navigate life a lot easier.
Yeah, for sure. I love the idea of the self-care routine as well, because it's something that I robbed from uh just like a good few of the different ladies I've worked with over the last few years. It's like, why do I always hear women talking about self-care? And I've not ever once heard a man talk about self-care. I'm like, there's something wrong here. And then I just robbed that idea. So I have a whole self-care routine for myself. I don't like have it wrote down anywhere, but it's just like some days, it's literally just shaving or, like teeth flossing, getting a haircut. Other days, like at the weekend, we went to the lake. So we did a dip in the lake, and then there's a sauna there as well. So we did like in and out for an hour. And then another, like another day it's going to the gym or doing some jujitsu or some boxing or, but there's all these different types of self-care that are all really enjoyable. The blueberry aromatherapy spray is actually very nice. I have to admit.
Yeah, but
But yeah, there's so many different things that you can do for self-care. It doesn't always have to be like, um, necessarily a challenge, let's say like with a workout or something.
yeah,
Um, but yeah, it's you mentioned like your pattern there about being a people pleaser and stuff like that. And I was just thinking the pattern that I realized, the more that I look back on it, part of the reason that I wanted to go to Spain and, kind of move abroad was because I wanted to travel. But also a big part of the reason was because I was running away from my own issues. And I think one of the great things about it is like even though I was technically running away from my own issues, it also brought me a lot of clarity in the long run because, like you said earlier, about having that time alone by yourself, you kind of really figure out what's important to you. And then
Mm,
I had this realization that, like, oh, the main thing that I need in my life is actually connection with other people, like, because I basically ran away, my response for when I'm under stress is either flight or freeze, so it's some type of detachment. And then when I had that, you know, eureka moment or whatever you want to call it of realizing that I need connection, like, okay, well, now I need to build my choices in life around that, like everything I do going forward has to be connection based, so um that was, yeah, I suppose part of the reason why, bringing you on board and having you um support all of our clients and stuff, like that's a big part of connection as well, for me. Or going to like some jiu-jitsu classes, like some of the lads that I've met at the classes, like, like some of the nicest people I've ever met. And
mm.
I think that connection side of things is super important, if you kind of relate to me in the sense of you're someone who tends to detach, or you're more of a flight type, when it comes to stress.
Yeah. And that's it. Like it's such a big piece. Like, and I think like connection, like that's it's been one of the big things for myself and Shona as well over the last year is like just seeing is like the importance of real connection is just massive. But I think it's one of the things that's so overlooked for a lot of people. Because like life, like we just make life too busy to kind of see that as an important one. I think it's I love when like Dr. Gabriel Mate says like the opposite of addiction is connection. And
Yeah,
it's like says
exactly.
like anyone who has addictive tendencies with no matter what it is like you're actually seeking connection. And again, so much of it, like I relate to so much of that myself as well. Is like it's one of the reasons why I stopped drinking in January because it was like, all right, like I have an all didn't have a problem with alcohol, but I could see that I was like I was going to it at certain times when I actually was just feeling lonely. And like it was things that I was doing. I was like, all right, let's actually just take a month off of this just to kind of see what happens. Because it was something like I was always just inquisitive. I was like, let's just take a month off and see what happens. And then after that first month, I was like, oh, this is actually really interesting. It gets brought up a lot of this other stuff for me to look at with that connection piece. So that's where I've been like, cool, let's follow that thread and just look at that and explore that over the next while. And that's, I guess, where I am now with it is seeing that as such a big thing.
Yeah, definitely. That was like another big moment I had when I first heard Gabor say that. It's like such a powerful phrase, isn't it? The opposite of
Mm.
addiction is connection. Like I was listening to an audiobook. I was probably like cycling at the time because I was living in Dublin, and I literally stopped and I was like, thinking about it. I was like, this makes so much sense.
Yeah.
Like how did I never realize this, And like any of the therapy that I've done or the journaling and the deep work, that's something that pops up the whole time because I have such a typical addictive personality,
Mm.
and it's always been there. Even when I played golf when I was younger, from like 16 to 18, part of the reason was because I really enjoyed playing golf and I got really good at it. But the only reason I got really good at it was because I was literally obsessed with it. And the reason why I became obsessed was because, my when I was younger, my best friend's dad passed away from cancer, and my granddad had also passed away the same year. So I lost two people in the same year when I was like, what age say? It was 2009, so I was 15. But obviously at the time I wasn't like able to process any of that, or so the addictive personality trait came out, but it was golf there that became the obsession, to like that was my way of escaping it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I just had all this kind of like real all these realizations to be like, oh my God, like this is crazy how, this kind of manifested. So yeah, the addictive personality is something I have to be very careful of because I'd be the same, it's like I'm not just gonna drink a couple of glasses. It's like I went on holidays before and literally get blackout drunk. And it's like, okay, this is not good for me at all,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's when you have like certain personality traits, at least if you're aware of them, you can kind of be mindful of them. So that's why I've changed my life a lot,
Yeah.
the last kind of year or two to really, work around those. Definitely.
That's a big one. And again, like another big one where I've been seeing that as well, playing out is like our phones, like technology, our phones, our social media and stuff. Is like so many people are addicted to these little bricks because they're seeking that connection. It's like how many times do you reach for your phone when deep down, like you're just like there's feelings there of loneliness or whatever that might be, or isolation, that instead of actually allowing yourself to sit with that and look at that, it's like that's too hard to look at. So I'm just gonna reach for this other thing that's going to give me that quick little dopamine hit, that quick little feel good factor, and just kind of distract myself away from actually looking at some of the challenging things.
Yeah, something I wanted to mention on connection as well. That's part of the reason why I was motivated to set up the community days as well. And since June last year, done a community day in we did Hoth Head, then we did Sea Dip in Killiney. We hiked up Ticknock this year. Went to Glendalough, the Forest in Glenbarrow, and then I've got another one planned for a few weeks' time. But all of those literally came from, me wanting to like get some connection and then realize like, oh yeah, as you get older, it's actually very hard to meet like-minded people, to meet people who are also, just easygoing and have similar, kind of like interests and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, so part of the reason for setting up the community days was just me being selfish of like, I can't find anyone to go with, so I'm just gonna have to set it up and, invite people to come, basically.
Yeah. But like it's
Um,
so true. Like it's so true. Like I remember like that was I done the exact same whenever like back a few years ago, like whenever we moved away from like the city over in Perth, like we moved like 5, 6 hours south to like a little small coastal town, like this beautiful little community down there. But I was like, oh, I was like, I want connection. I want to be able to create connection. So I was like, all right, cool, let's actually do it. Like every Sunday morning do a workout on the beach and like get the local guys to come along to do this workout on the beach and then have a bit of like a sharing circle after and do some breath work and a cold dip after it. And it's like I'd done it selfishly to like this is what I want for myself. So I'll do something that I love doing to facilitate that, to build more friendships and connections and stuff like that. And it was one of like everyone's favorite part of the week was that Sunday morning where like a group of guys came together 7 o'clock in the morning to do a workout and a swim and have a chat and stuff like that. It's so good.
yeah, nice. That's amazing. The I went to it's just something I wrote down earlier about Irish heritage. It's so random. I literally just found out about it maybe last year. Have you ever heard of the Irish stone lifting?
Yeah. Yeah, it's such an interesting one.
Yeah, it's like so for anyone who doesn't know, basically, obviously in Ireland, like 1800s, 1700s, of course, no TikTok, no social media, no internet, no nothing, So one of the big things, maybe I think it was like maybe every Saturday or every
It was
Sunday.
every Sunday after Mass. They were always in around like a lot of times it'd be in the church graveyards or else in like the
Yeah.
square in the town after it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So the whole tradition was basically like in a lot of towns or, villages, there'd be a stone that had been there for maybe hundreds or it could have even been thousands of years. And then, mostly the men, I'm sure there might have been women that did it as well, but the competition was basically like who could get the wind under the stone, and it was literally just loads of people trying to pick up the stone, and that was like the centerpiece of their Sunday.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it's so good. Like, and it's really cool to see like the resurgence of that. Like, there's that guy on Instagram, Indiana Stones, he's doing a massive push, bringing that back into like more of our day to day. Like, and he and himself and his own has uncovered like a heap of these hidden stones, like all throughout Ireland. And like, there's a map and everything you can get now as well, where like it has the different stones in the map. It's yeah, it's really cool. But like again, you can see it's such a piece of connection for it. It's like communities will come together for
yeah.
that.
Yeah, like a small part of it is the actual event, but the main part of it is actually just like meeting other people and, having fun doing it. But I'd definitely love to do something like that, but just need to bring chalk up everywhere, basically, lifting it
Yeah.
on. So
Oh, it's
awkward.
ridiculous. Some of the monsters that they're lifting is crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, it's just like there's so many traditions like that, especially post-famine would have been lost because the translation from Irish to English, someone could have misinterpreted it. the person who was writing down in English mightn't have fully understood what they meant, or just things would have got burnt, or maybe thrown out, or God knows what would have happened. And a lot of those traditions then kind of slowly kind of faded away, unfortunately.
Hmm.
It's cool for them to come back. um all right, how much longer you got? Or
Yeah, got a few more minutes if you want. If there's any other questions you want to go into.
all right, cool. um yeah, I suppose, like, let's see what else. Yeah, something I did want to mention, because you talked about your family, right? I almost feel like it's not the exact same thing, but a big step for me anyway, personally, was adopting a cat. So we adopted Luna back in January. And I'd always had a lot of anxiety around stuff, like ever like the thoughts of even having kids or anything. But I was like, okay, we'll just start nice and easy. Can't go wrong with the cat. I had cats when I was younger, so no problem with animals. And yeah, when we adopted her, it's like honestly the best thing I think I've ever done, because even just having Luna there, like my stress levels are so much lower. Um, and I realized that when I was younger as well. Like we always had dogs. Like we had a Neapolitan Mastiff, Buddha. We had a French Mastiff, Zeus. We had a Cane Corso, Kiki, a Collie Rottweiler cross, Bess. So we always had like big dogs, and we had a couple of cats as well. But we don't have enough space here to get a dog, unfortunately. So we went for Luna, and it's like, yeah, it kind of brings something different out of you, doesn't it? Like when you have
Hmm.
an animal, or another human being, to rely on you. Like it brings out that more, I think, caring side of you, or it's brings out something different.
Yeah, I love it. Like, and that's it. Like, I know, like, it's like anytime, like, you're talking, like, and like you can see, like, your cat, like Luna, cruising around the place. Like, I know you've mentioned so many times, just again, that sense of relaxation that you get just from that presence. I think it's so good. But even like, it's a point of connection. It's like you're connecting with a cat. You're getting out of your own head and just have that point of connection as well. I think it's so cool.
Yeah. Did you have many pets growing up?
Yeah, we always would have had like dogs or cats around, but it was always one of my older brothers who was the one that took ownership of everyone, all of the animals. So it is like it's been a big thing for us as a family, like because we have moved around a lot. We're just hanging for like a dog, but we're just waiting until we are a little bit more settled, and then yeah, like we can't wait to get a dog. But yeah, like it's like I've never had a pet that's just been mine. Probably
Mhm.
had like a goldfish and stuff like that, but like never had a pet that's just been mine. Like it's always been like the family dog, which like brother always took a bit more ownership of.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, like it's like yeah, like I think it's having like a pet like that. Like it's yeah, like I'm really looking forward to getting to that stage.
Yeah, it's quite a big commitment. That was the other reason why we went for a cat, because I know from having dogs when I was younger that it's like there's a lot involved. It's
Oh,
like
such a huge commitment, like it really is.
at least 2 or 3 walks a day. And then, obviously the food is going to cost more. And then you have to have enough garden space. Like you can't have a dog in a small space. Whereas
No.
like when we adopted Luna, she was brought up as a house cat, basically. So that's all she knows. So
Hmm.
we don't need to have like a huge outdoor space for her. She's happy just living in the house. And we have a cat tree, and built a bridge over to one of the windows, and basically spending all the money on cat things.
Yeah, I love it.
So, but yeah, no, that's really cool. And yeah, the I think that was pretty much all I wanted to go through for today. I mean, like we've kind of discussed a lot. It's like, I suppose with personal things, you could go down so many different rabbit holes, but I think we kind of covered a good bit today.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
yeah, it's really cool to like we've been working together for, I think it's almost a year anniversary now. But like still finding out so many new things, and it's always really cool. So yeah, hopefully we'll be able to get something in soon, maybe a sauna or a gym session,
Oh,
or
definitely. Yeah, like definitely. Like we'll be making it happen to, yeah, get down, catch up sometime soon.
yeah, that'd be really cool. But yeah, should we leave it there for today? For anyone watching or listening, if you want to check out any of our other episodes, it's the Holistic Health Podcast on Spotify, or just type in Elan Darcy Holistic Health into YouTube. And Finn, for you, if anyone wants to reach out or check out your stuff, where can they get you?
Yeah, so the easiest place would probably be on Instagram or Spotify, like the Grounded Masculine. We've got the Grounded Masculine podcast from my own podcast, and then just on Instagram is the Grounded Masculine. That's where I share a lot more of my own stuff that I do as well.
Perfect. Sounds good. Nice. All right. Well, hope you have a good day and chat soon.
Beautiful.